This night, Russian cruise missiles that the Kremlin says to be targeting supply lines for Ukrainian troops engaged in a counter-offensive have killed 3 people working in night shift in a warehouse in Odesa. Afternoon, it's Henry Keane here on UATV channel, breaking the hard truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. The strike on Odesa by multiple caliber missiles at 2:40 a.m. on Wednesday also hit a business center, an educational institution, restaurants and shops, injuring 15 people, adding to a heavy civilian toll in recent days. In the early morning of June 14th, the Russian missiles hit Kramatorsk and Kostiantynivka in the Donetsk region just as well. According to the local military administration, 3 people died, 3 more were injured. This followed an attack in the early hours of Tuesday morning on a warehouse and a living block in Kyiv, where the number of confirmed fatalities has been raised to 12 overnight after the death of a 67-year-old man in hospital. The Kyiv strike was made using caliber missiles containing foreign components.
Unfortunately, Russia still has the ability to obtain critical components for missile production from companies around the world, including companies from some partner countries. These components are then shipped to Russia in various ways. If we take, for example, one of the missiles that hit Kryvyi Rih, about 50 components in it, mostly microelectronics, were produced in other countries.
Well, let us take a look at the bare facts. Ukraine told the world numerous times Putin is going to attack. Nah, experts said, highly unlikely. Look where we are now. Putin won't stop at mass killings of civilians. We said, no, experts said. In return, what do you know, Ukraine? Killing civilians is pointless and has no sense. Why would he do that? Well, go to Bucha, Irpin or Olenivka these days. Almost every family there has lost someone during Russian-made purge nights. Today, as Russia shells our cities every single night and kills our people, as Russian tactical nuclear weapons have arrived in Belarus, and Putin has made threats of a renewed Russian offensive to get Kyiv at all costs, experts, as usual, doubt that the outdated Soviet Tsar will actually go nuclear. Putin might be bad, but not mad, they say. You know what? Whatever experts say, do me a favor, dear world. Or better said, that parts of the world that will survive nuclear disaster in Mad Max mode, take them experts and send them to what would be left of Russia. They have long deserved it. You may say no nuclear disaster is possible? Maybe. However, do you know what's going on a Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant right now? You don't. I don't either. And nobody knows because International Atomic Energy Agency himself, Director Grossi, postponed a planned trip to the Russian-captured plant due to the security situation. Yes, this is all about his personal security, maybe, and quite probably, but from the Ukrainian point of view, we won't be very surprised if Russians are preparing a nuclear disaster, exactly the one you considered not possible. Otherwise, why don't they allow any international experts on nuclear facilities? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because Putin, an outdated Soviet Tsar, a delusional power addict, is mad. It doesn't mean he's irrational. Oh, he's very rational in his own realm. Take power at all costs. And at all costs, never ever give it back. Sounds delusional? No. It just sounds Russian. Russian propaganda does the usual, pouring lies. Kremlin media intensively working on the topic of all these, colossal losses of Ukrainian technology, in particular of Western weaponry. Well, à la guerre comme à la guerre. There are losses in every war, even more so during hostilities of an offensive nature. However, Ukrainian losses are certainly not on the scale declared by Russian propaganda. Russian propagandists show the same destroyed equipment, just from, different angles and deliver it through multiple channels. They also do not hesitate to toss Russian losses for the losses of the defense forces of Ukraine. They must have taken the whole idea from the Ukrainian writer Nikolai Gogol and his novel Dead Souls. In fact, it all is nothing but an info-psychological operation on the Kremlin-given topic, so there is only one reason to believe Russian statements, and all the evidence of it if you are a pro-Kremlin Z-Russian in Moscow. What the Kremlin wants, of course, is its propaganda to make us Ukrainians look clumsy, stupid, unprofessional losers and reduce our effectiveness in the eyes of our Western partners, as well as also it's a Moscow attempt to raise the morale in its own ranks. Both of those are to no good. Western countries, for some reason, do not watch Russian TV. And Western governments rely solely on the intelligence and not the Kremlin talk shows. To raise morale? Well, talk about that with those families of dead Russian soldiers killed on the very front line who happened to see their sons' bodies on Russian TV stating that they are Ukrainians. Well, so much for Russian morale. And while the Kremlin exudes impotence and jealousy, Ukrainians down them Russian super-duper hypersonic missiles using American Patriots. Many times. Also, Western tanks and armored vehicles have already proven themselves very well on the battlefield in Ukrainian hands, although they have been used to a limited extent so far. Since the beginning of the summer, the Kremlin daily losses in their own armored vehicles have increased multifold. Russians do use modern tech like the Tor and TOS-1A Solntsepyok Sunburn air defense system. But what are we fighting for in Ukraine? Our homes, our land, our families, our sisters and brothers murdered by Vladimir Putin, for our children abducted by his criminal regime. So Russians might use all they want. It won't change a fact. Russians are fighting against the whole nation for its survival and well-being, while they are fighting Russians themselves because of their social impotence, which has led to a power in Russia being absorbed and usurped by a delusional maniac who instigated a territorial war in the middle of Europe in 21st century. Whatever Russian propaganda says, let us just all watch what happens next. Then we talk. Head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, Andriy Yermak, had a phone call with Chief Advisor to the President of the Federal Republic of Brazil, Celso Amorim. Andriy Yermak spoke about the preparation of the Global Peace Summit, in which Ukraine seeks to involve as many countries as possible in order to implement the points of President Volodymyr Zelensky's peace formula.
Of course, we are extremely interested in Brazil's participation in this summit. We are ready to talk, and it is very important for us to hear your opinion. Russia's destruction of the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant has shown the extreme relevance of the Ukrainian peace formula, in particular the security and environmental clauses. Andriy Yermak, head of the Office of the President of Ukraine.
Mr. Yermak noted that Brazil's experience in environmental protection, among other things, is extremely valuable. He also thanks Celso Amorim for the visit of the Brazilian delegation to Ukraine in May 2023, which was extremely important for our country. Also, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dmytro Kuleba confirmed the visit of a delegation of African leaders to Ukraine to discuss peace initiatives.
A group of African leaders is coming to Kyiv indeed. They do not, at least for now, have a mandate from the African Union, meaning they will not speak for all of Africa, they will speak for their group. This is an important detail that must be taken into account, but we are open to a dialogue with everyone who wants to talk and look for a solution. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine.
Ukraine, of course, welcomes the visit of the group of African leaders to Kyiv, and our top leadership is keen to engage with them in order to see whether there is a space to come up with joint efforts that would bring peace in Ukraine any closer. Our goal is open and obvious, to unite as many countries as we can around President Zelensky's 10-point peace plan. Ukraine's position remains crystal clear. Any peace initiatives must respect just two fundamental principles. They should not imply territorial concessions to be made by Ukraine, and they should not lead or be based on the idea of freezing the conflict. We need no pieces of the peace. We want it just and for all. And we are open for any discussion on the matter. It was Henry Keane on the UATV channel, bringing the hard truth into easy terms directly from Ukraine for the whole free world. Subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support is what really matters. Stay safe and tune for more tomorrow. See you soon.